That would have been the worst accident of my life. She looked at me, and for the first time neither of us laughed. The moment felt different. Real. Serious. So I took a breath and said something that had been on my mind for weeks. I think I'm falling in love with you. For a second she didn't say anything, and I thought maybe I had said it too soon, too suddenly. Then she reached across the table and took my hand, and smiled. Good, she said. Because I already did. Sometimes people think love happens in big dramatic moments. Fireworks. Perfect timing. Movie scenes. But the truth is, sometimes love starts with spilled coffee, a random rainy night, and two strangers who decide to sit down and talk. And if there's one thing that night taught me, it's this. The best things in life aren't always planned. Sometimes, they just walk into a coffee shop at the exact moment you do, and change everything. Only if you promise not to throw coffee on me again. Our first date happened 3 days later. And I was terrified. Not because I didn't like her, but because I liked her too much. We met at a small pizza place downtown. Nothing fancy. But the moment she walked in, smiling like we had known each other for years, all my nervousness disappeared. Dinner turned into a walk. The walk turned into sitting by the river. We talked until almost midnight. At one point she asked me something I didn't expect. Why did your last relationship end? I hesitated. Honestly. She nodded. She said I wasn't emotionally available. Emily tilted her head. And was she right? I thought about it. Yeah, I admitted. I think I was afraid of caring too much. She looked at the water for a moment, then said quietly, That's the risk though. What is? Love. You either risk getting hurt, or you miss something amazing. I didn't answer, but her words stayed in my mind. Weeks passed, then months. Emily and I started seeing each other almost every day. Coffee after work, random late-night drives, cooking terrible meals together, watching movies we both pretended to understand. And slowly, without realizing it, she became part of my life. Not in a dramatic movie way, but in small moments, like texting her when something funny happened, or saving a seat for her automatically, or hearing a song and thinking of her. One night we went back to that same coffee shop where we first met. Same table, same window. She looked around and smiled. You know, this place ruined my favorite book. I bought you a new one, I reminded her. She nodded. Yeah. But that one doesn't have the coffee stain. I laughed. Then she said something I didn't expect. You know what's weird? What? If you hadn't spilled that coffee, we probably never would have talked. She was right. I looked at the table for a moment, then said quietly. I turned around too quickly, and bumped right into her table. My coffee spilled everywhere. All over the table. All over her book. All over her sweater. For a moment time froze. Thought great. First week in a new city and I just ruined someone's night. I'm so sorry, I said quickly, grabbing napkins. She looked at the book, then at the coffee stain, and then at me. And instead of getting angry, she started laughing. Not a fake polite laugh. A real one. I guess my book needed more drama, she said. I stared at her, confused. You're not mad. Well, she smiled. It's not every day someone literally spills coffee on a plot twist. That was the moment I noticed her eyes. Bright. Kind. Curious. I offered to buy her a new book and a new drink. She thought about it for a second. Only if you sit with me, she said. And just like that, I sat down. Her name was Emily. She had moved to the city about 6 months earlier. She worked as a graphic designer and spent most evenings in that same coffee shop reading. What was supposed to be a quick apology turned into a 2-hour conversation. We talked about everything. Movies, travel, childhood memories, the weird things people do on the subway. At some point I looked outside. The rain had stopped, but neither of us had noticed. When we finally stood up to leave, it was almost closing time. We walked outside together. The street was quiet, shining from the rain. I hesitated for a second. "You know, I owe you a book," I said. She smiled. "You already paid." "How?" "I got a good story out of it." I laughed. Then she started walking away. And suddenly I realized something. If I let her go right now, I might never see her again. So I did something that normally I would never do. "Wait." She turned around. "Would you maybe want to get dinner sometime?" She looked at me for a moment, just long enough to make me nervous. Then she said, "I wasn't looking for love. Honestly, after my last relationship ended, I told myself I was done for a while. No dating apps. No awkward dinners. No trying to impress someone who might disappear the next day. I just wanted peace. At the time, I had just moved to a new city for work. New apartment. New job. New routine. Everything felt empty. Every morning looked the same. Wake up. Coffee. Work. Come home. Scroll my phone. Sleep. And repeat. Until one rainy Thursday evening changed everything. That day had been awful. My boss dumped 3 projects on my desk 5 minutes before the end of the day. I stayed late finishing them, and by the time I left the office it was already dark. The rain was pouring. Not the light romantic kind of rain you see in movies. I mean the kind that soaks your shoes in 5 seconds. I didn't have an umbrella, so I ran. I rushed into the first coffee shop I saw just to escape the rain. The place was small, warm, and smelled like fresh espresso. A few people were sitting with laptops. Soft music played in the background. I walked to the counter and ordered the strongest coffee they had. And that's when I saw her. She was sitting near the window with a book in her hands. Dark hair, messy bun, oversized sweater, glasses slightly sliding down her nose. She looked completely focused on her book. And for some reason I couldn't stop looking. Not because she was trying to be noticed. Actually the opposite. She looked like she was in her own world. The barista called my name and handed me my coffee.